Oh, you know, I don't know who said it the first time, but I've seen it several times where nobody's paying to hear the star's opinion.
Right.
Nobody wants to know their personal opinions. You know, unless maybe people who buy People magazine and live for that stuff. But dance, monkey, dance. Yeah, get on the stage,
Mm-hmm.
do what the director tells you to do. You did a good job. You pretended to be somebody. Step off the stage. Keep your opinion low key. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think back in the heyday of Hollywood, back in the 40s and 50s and that era, I, I don't believe the studio probably had them on a pretty tight rope, and
Right.
they weren't really allowed to talk about their personal opinion. Back then, the studio owned the actors. You got to respect that a little bit, though. You never put down your fans,
Heck
you know,
no. What do you
or
think you're going to gain from it?
never put down an audience, a potential audience member.
Right.
You know, uh, you will not have me saying, "Oh, I don't." You know what? If you don't do this, don't watch my show. No,
That's
no.
ridiculous.
Please watch, like, subscribe, give me a comment, even if it's a bad one.
Listen to the vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I am very glad to have my friend Doc Dredd here today. We're going to learn about him and what he's up to and just have a good time. So, and I've been waiting all day to say this. So, what's up, Doc?
Hey, Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing great, my friend. What have you been up to?
Uh, yeah, just a lot of the same, really. I put my weekly show out,
Mm-hmm.
and I hosted my first movie,
Oh, cool.
so that was kind of cool. But busy holiday season.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I'm going to mention this again at the end of the show, but with if people wanted to see you, where could they catch your show?
Oh, thanks for asking. Uh, I'm on every Friday night on the Monster Channel, and you can find that at www.themonsterchannel.com. I'm on Fridays at 11:40 p.m. Eastern. So you can find me there on Fridays, but you can find me anytime on YouTube. And it's as simple as hitting pound Dr. Dread reviews, and I'll pop up.
Yeah, don't put monster.com, otherwise you're going to be looking for a job.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to put the in the Monster Channel because a lot of people forget that.
How long you been doing this, man?
I've just entered my fifth year, so I've 4 years.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty incredible. Can you remember the first one you ever did?
I do. It was it was sort of unplanned, I had got done watching the Bird Box, which was really hyped on
Hmm.
Netflix. I just got done watching it, and there was a lot of hype surrounding it, and it was a letdown for me
Yeah.
because I had left the hype, you know, the hype worked for me. So I went up to my office, grabbed my phone, I hit record, and I put on a bathrobe and a silly fez, and I just it was only like 5 minutes, but that was my first show.
That was the one where they were blindfolded.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was. Yeah, I heard the hype and I was like, oh yeah, I got to catch this, and I watched and I was like, man. Well, there's so many movies that get hyped, and then you're all ready to see it, and then you watch it and you get disappointed. So I guess we have to rely on someone like you to watch these movies so we don't have to.
Now, my taste might not be your taste, so
Right, right, right.
I like to throw that disclaimer out. Uh, like I have a handful of favorite movies, but they range from like Plan 9 from Outer Space and Bride of the Monster, which are low budget, Ed Wood movies, all the way up to Silence of the Lambs, which is probably my favorite contemporary horror movie.
Oh, I love that movie. I can watch that over and over and over. That the Plan 9 from Outer Space. That's one of those movies. It's so bad that it's good.
I can't help it, but I smile whenever I watch it, and I probably watch it at least once a year.
Have you seen Monos, The Hands of Fate?
Oh yeah, that's so bad it's good.
I interviewed the lady that starred in that movie.
The daughter,
Yeah.
yes, she's my Facebook friend.
Oh yeah. I forgot how we met. I want to say it was through Facebook, but she's such a wonderful lady, and she's so modest. I mean, granted, I think that's the only thing she's ever done, but I mean,
I know she sews the robes, the costume, and they look really cool.
and I don't know about you, but I find myself just watching old stuff. I can't stand some of the new stuff that comes out. The movies suck.
Yeah, my heart goes more toward the old stuff, but with the show, I like to keep the movies every now and then, throw something newer in there because, and it's funny, most of the newer stuff I watch, I'm wishy-washy about. It's like, oh, okay, but I like to give sort of iffy reviews on things too. Everything can't be the best movie, and
Right.
I like to every now and then just like get in there and go, yeah, Two Skulls, meh, mediocre at best. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah, my thing is those professional critics. I can never trust anything they say. They will hype up a movie, and I'll go watch it, and I think you must not have watched the same movie I was watching.
Yeah,
Everything is getting ruined. If it's adapted from, say, a comic book, they don't stay anywhere near what the comic book was. They change the characters. I mean, and no offense to anyone, but I mean, they change the race of them, they change the gender of them, and I mean, sometimes it works. I mean, I have to say, I like Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, but some of these characters, oh my God, they've ruined them.
yeah,
They've got some agenda behind it. Instead of telling a good story, they're just preaching to us.
yeah. The latest Bond film, where if you haven't seen it yet, I hope this isn't a spoiler for anybody, but cover your ears if you want to watch it and you don't want to spoiler. But Bond dies and there's a new 007 at the end of the movie. And I'm okay, but why not just a whole new character?
Right.
Why not a 008 or 006? Or you don't need to clutch onto that number and take the series in a different direction.
And they think that they're getting this new audience, and they're not. The people they're trying to appeal to really don't even have any interest in it, and there's not enough of them that watch it to really compensate. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So gear it towards the fans. Yeah, I don't want anybody getting me misconstrued here. I have no problem with a main character being black or being a woman or being Hispanic or whatever. That's fine. We were talking the other day why do they have to switch those characters like that when there's a lot of good stories with characters that are already, a person of color or a woman. Do they not have any faith in it? Because I can name off probably 100 good books that I've read that these characters would look great on screen. I mean, look what they do with Black Panther.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen the second one yet, but the
I,
first one was awesome.
you know, my problem with, and I'm not going to see it because number one, I think they could have recast the role. No disrespect to Chadwick Boseman because he was, I think, born to play that part.
He
But
did good at that part
yeah,
in what the three movies he was in as Black
yeah, he
Panther.
was,
Three
yeah, he was in what Civil War
Civil War.
and the Infinity Wars and then
And
Black Panther.
Black
So I think
Panther.
it was like four of them.
Okay.
I don't think he would have objected to them recasting the role. They could have kept
I
him
don't think it
going.
would have. I don't think it would have hurt. Look at they recast Rhodes from the Iron Man
Yeah,
series.
right, right. And I like Rhodes. I think it's a great character.
Yeah.
They just they're ruining everything. They've ruined Star Wars for me.
Uh, I I think we touched on Star Wars last interview, and I can tell you that I really liked Rogue One.
I like that movie.
It, it it was probably that's probably my favorite Star Wars film right now. It's either
Hmm.
A New Hope, the first Star Wars that came out in '77, or Rogue One. So
Yeah.
the Phantom Menace and the three that came out, oh, they're horrible.
But you know what? I appreciate them more now.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Uh, I don't know the one where Poe, I guess her name is,
Oh,
finds Luke, goes looking
oh,
for.
Ray.
Yeah, Ray. Ray.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Well,
I haven't seen it.
don't
I have no
bother.
desire to see it.
Well, they pretty much destroyed the character of Luke Skywalker. You've given the person all these powers and didn't I don't think she even knew she had these powers, and then all of a sudden she's like great at it with no practice whatsoever. I mean, where's the hero's journey? Where's the learning
Right.
getting that education from someone say, hey, this is how you control it. Well, all of a sudden you can do all this stuff.
The educator in those films, like Yoda, or any of
Right.
the kung fu films, the old '60s '70s kung fu films with the master and teaching the other.
Hmm.
That character's always fascinating. They steal the show when they're on camera.
Yeah. And I just saw clips of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
That the story makes no sense. You've kind of gone back and everything that you learned from A New Hope was kind of thrown out the window.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense. It's not on the right timeline. Um, gosh, what's the other ones that are out? I did start watching the oh my gosh, Andor. And although it's kind of slow and it's kind of boring at times,
Mhm.
it's not too bad. Okay. I'll give them credit that I'm gonna finish watching it, but it's not something that I'm gonna go back and watch again.
Okay. I
Uh
did like The Mandalorian. I like The Mandalorian. I watched
I
that.
Yeah, and I was so excited for Boba Fett, and what they made Boba Fett. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, excuse my language, but they made him a pussy.
Yeah. I was disappointed Boba Fett wasn't as good as The Mandalorian. I was hoping for better things for
And while he's inside that creature, how in the hell did he get so fat?
Cheeseburgers.
Was that monster swallowing McDonald's or something? And talking to folks, and I don't know if this is the consensus all over America, but the people that I talk to, they're starting to get into more of the independent films because there's not this formula that they have to stick to. You know, they you've heard of Jimmy Starr, right?
uh, give me more than
Well,
that.
Jimmy Starr, he's more one of those guys that he's kind of a guest, I guess you'd say, in a lot of movies, and TV shows and stuff, but he's more into producing movies and all. I can't remember off the top of my head. I guess I should have had that ready when I said I wanted to talk about him. But Jimmy, he actually sat on my show and read all the criteria for getting an award. That you have to have this in the movie, you have to have that in the movie. And so that's another reason why the stories get screwed up.
I've heard that Netflix has a criteria for the movies they show.
Mm-hmm.
And that each, there's a checklist that it has to have.
So the independent filmmakers, and although they don't have the big budgets, they don't have the best special effects, they don't always have the best actors, but people are starting to watch those just for the fact that they don't have to sit there and watch this criteria.
It's something different. And
exactly.
It's I was doing Christmas horror movies, for pretty much the month of December for the show, and I came across one called Amityville Christmas Vacation.
Oh my god!
Okay. Now, it was definitely independent. It was only 40 minutes long, and the makeup was amateurish. The sets were like a living room, and it was very basic.
Right.
But the story was funny, and the dialogue was charming, and it was different than anything you would see put out by mainstream. Right. I really enjoyed it. I think independent films are with hosted movies and with the horror hosts that I know, it's the horror hosting family's going to have a resurgence because independent producers are approaching the horror host to get them to promote and show their film, because you can't get that stuff in theaters. And,
right.
And, if you chance upon something good on Tubi or another free streaming service, that's cool. But if you have a host who has a bigger stage or, a nice platform, your work can get shown.
Right. I remember in high school, there was a video store that was independently run. My family knew the family that ran the place. And I mean, they had all the new releases and stuff, but then they'd have stuff that, you didn't see in theaters, or if it was very brief. It wasn't mainstream. And us guys would go and rent those movies and watch them. And even if they were corny, we still loved them.
Yeah.
And I think there's a surge of that going on now because people are falling out of love with Hollywood. I've said that over and over again. They're sick of that. A lot of the television shows that come out, getting sick of those. I'm on my 20th time of watching The Office all the way through. And my wife is like, why do you watch that over and over again? I'm like, well, I already know that I'm not going to get let down.
Right.
So there's a lot of those old shows I watch over and over again. I say old, it's not 8 years since it's been on the air or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll go back and watch like $6 Million Man from when I was a kid because they're on streaming service, and the old Wonder Woman, Incredible Hulk, and all that stuff, because I know even if it's not the best quality, it's not going to let me down. They'll spend. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, we just officially, we pretty much had cut the cord for about, it's been about 2 years, but officially cut the cord. So we did away with even basic cable, and our landline, our landline, we still had a landline, got rid of that, because anything that's put out over cable or the network television, it's just not that good. Yeah. I can stream better stuff than more entertaining stuff.
Exactly. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars to make these movies, and they get, I will say, some great special effects, but the story falls flat. there's nothing about it that would make me want to go back and watch it. However, I finally, and I know people are like, "What? You waited this long?" But I finally watched Maverick last night. Oh my God! Now I know why that movie made so much money.
I'll have to add it to my list. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I haven't watched it yet either.
Now, I will say, and I'm not without giving anything away, I think they kind of stole some of the story from New Hope, but yeah, I mean, you see for yourself. I enjoyed it. I think you'd like it. Horror movies, gosh, I've been watching independent horror movies lately.
Yeah.
Craig Aarons and David Espinosa, they're two filmmakers that they come on my show from time to time, and they've got one out now called Demon Fighter, and I say it's not the best acting in the world. It's some of the editing's a little off, but I'd still watch it again.
Yeah.
I liked it. You should review it on your show.
I'll have to definitely add that to my list.
Yeah.
I was just contacted. Oh, it was about a month ago by a producer of an independent film called Ash and Bone, and he asked me if I would review and this is the scary part, because when somebody asks me to review their movie, sometimes that's their baby,
Yeah.
And I said I'd give it a shot, and he sent me a link, and on Friday it airs on the Monster Channel, my review of his movie. So it was independent, but it was, there was a lot of talent behind that independent film.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of money, but the camera angles, the lighting, the sound, things were good.
And if they are bad, you feel bad telling someone that something that they put their heart into is not that good.
Right.
I encourage them, because if you give your money to go see them, or you put into it, then they will put more out of it. Because I've noticed from the first film that I watched from them that it's gotten better and better and better. Even though I can find some flaws, they're improving, and I think they'll just keep getting better. But we have to give those attention. The heck with what's going on in Hollywood.
Yeah. And all art is subjective.
Right.
Just because I like something, I wouldn't expect anybody else to like it as much as I do.
Right. And we all have to agree the greatest movie ever made was Step Brothers. So so what is your ultimate dream?
Oh, that to make money doing what I'm doing would be nice, but I used to think it was like being Svengoolie level, being on a network, making money, doing what I'm doing. But the man who runs the Monster Channel, Halloween Jack, Evan Davis, yeah, he pointed out something in like a chat or something one time, that Rich Kaz, the man who is Svengoolie, and every Saturday night on MeTV, across the country, he is really restricted as to what movies he can host. He has to stay within parameters. What I'm doing, I don't have a rule book other than how I want the character to be portrayed.
Right.
The horror hosts that host the movies, their major concern would be public domain. And that's why I think that independent films are going to start showing up amongst us. But the horror hosts that are on the Monster Channel, they don't have you're only allowed to do this, or you can't say that, or so there's a freedom. with not making money. There's this definite freedom that you have. It'd be nice to make money, but I'm content doing what I'm doing.
Right. Well, not to take away from you and just talk about myself, but whenever I was doing my paranormal show, strictly doing that, I got invited to join a network, and they gave me a time slot. So my shows were live each week, and it was always Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Well, if you have guests on, especially if you're getting guests who are, on television and that kind of thing, it's very difficult to get that specific time pinpointed every week. It was difficult. I did it,
Yeah.
but it was hard. And I decided to do something live one day, like on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that ran the network, they contacted me and said, "Hey, you can't do live. You have on Facebook. You can only do it on our show." And started restricting what I could and could not do. And I'm thinking, I got in this for fun.
Right.
I got into this so I could learn more about the paranormal, and I got into this so I could, network and get to know these folks, right? And I told my wife, I said, it's a great opportunity to be on a network, but I want to do my own thing. I don't want somebody telling me what I can and can't do with my own show.
Yeah. People have asked me if I was, how long I plan on continuing what I'm doing, or, and my answer right now is I'm having a blast. I'm learning about editing. I'm having fun interacting with people, and adding other people to the show when I can get them in as cameos. As long as I'm having fun, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But if it ever becomes a chore, then maybe I need to step away for a week or two and just reevaluate and think about it.
I really love doing what I'm doing. There has been times where I had to kind of step away, and once I was away from it for a few days, then I'd start missing it, and then I was ready to get back to it.
Yeah.
But if you told me, "Hey, you can be on such and such channel," and I was getting paid good money and all that great stuff, but then it was, you got to do this, you got to do that, that's when it would become a chore to me, and I wouldn't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. It's like with painting. I love to paint. And if I'm in the mood, I can paint and be very creative. When people start asking me to do it for money, and they want specific parameters, then I don't enjoy it so much. And then, it's just not fun if you're not doing what you want to do.
It kind of stifles the imagination. I think that's part of why I really enjoy doing this, is because I get to use my brain and not have to, I don't have a script when I go in and do these. So when I do my reviews, it's just right off the top of my head. Me and my sidekick, we just banter back and forth. So.
And your sidekick's name is?
My sidekick's name is Bucky.
Bucky.
Bucky. He's a laboratory created genetic mutation, part rat and part rabbit. So he's a rabbit.
That's awesome.
He showed up in season 2.
Okay.
My second year into it, he showed up, and which changed my whole shtick. I ended up being the Abbott to his Costello. So I kind of play the straight man most of the time, but it's fun.
And who have you had on as a cameo?
Well, I've had Don O'Malley from Don's Breakfast Cereals. He has a show on the Monster Channel and I think on the Vortex. I've had Drac and Karita from Transylvania Tonight. They have a show on the Monster Channel. They often have a guest on their show who plays their Rainfield. And Rainfield has been on my show, and we just did like a 3-part series. There are 2 main puppets on my show. One's Bucky, and the other one's Mort. Mort comes in from time to time, but Mort is sort of like this ostrich-looking bird with sharp teeth, and he bumped into some of my scientific equipment, creating a rift in time and space. So me and Renfield sort of swapped minds for three episodes, where I was dressed as Renfield and Renfield was dressed as me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that was a lot of fun.
How do you come up with these ideas, man?
I don't know. It's all buried in there. It's from years of watching cartoons and reading comic books and snippets of this and that.
Well, I think if more and more people see what you're doing and how much you're enjoying it, and people can tell when you're really having fun. I think that becomes an addiction, and you'll get a even larger audience than you already have. So we're definitely going to try to push this show so people can get to know Doc Dread. In fact, how did you get that name, Doc Dread?
About the doctor comes from Dr. Shock, who was my horror host growing up. And back in from 69 to 79, Joseph Swislak was a horror host in Philadelphia, and he was on a local UHF channel. And he took the place of John Zachary when Zachary moved to New York. Mm-hmm. So anybody who's familiar with Zachary, that's the godfather of all horror hosts, Dr. Shock was his protege. He took his place in Philadelphia. So that's where my doctor came from. Mm-hmm. The Dread, I don't know. I used to do a backyard haunt, and it started out on the front porch, but there was always a mad doctor in it. Mm-hmm. And his name was just Dr. Dread. And that goes all the way back to like 1992, where the character was in play.
And how did the Fez come about?
Funny you should ask. The Fez I wear for Tommy Cooper.
Okay.
And, Tommy Cooper was a British comedian and mm-hmm. magician. And I have a love for magic. I'm not that good at it, but I love reading the magic books and learning how the tricks work. And I've done a couple of small shows. Tommy was a comedian magician, and he wore Fez. So that's where the Fez started.
It's great. Look, man, you came up with a good character.
I got a funny story regarding the Fez. I ran into David. I hope I don't mess his name up. David Coltrane. Coltrane. He's the man behind the Rondo Awards. Mm-hmm. And the Rondo Awards are like the Academy Award for the horror genre. It covers magazines, actors, movies, horror host, podcast. But he's the man who tallies the votes. He gets the awards out there. I ran into him at a convention, and I was wearing my Fez. And he goes, "Yeah, a Fez." I go, "Yeah, I know. It's old hat. Old hat, get it? Old hat." Right. And he looks at me with the straightest face. He wasn't amused. So I changed my Fez up a little bit. I went to Dollar Tree, mm-hmm. and I bought a $1.25 plastic waste can that fits on my head. And I put a tassel on it, and I threw a decal of Cthulhu on there. I called it Mega Fez. So I needed to stand out a little bit.
Would you say that Doc Dread is closer to your personality, or more of an alter ego? Maybe somebody want to be more like?
He's a lot like me, mm-hmm. but he's an extrovert. He's more outgoing, easier to talk to, doesn't feel awkward around other people. So it's probably somebody who I'm sort of wish I was more like. But now that I'm playing the straight man, since
Hmm.
season two, he's become more like me. Prior to that, he was a little zany. He was, he'd move around a lot and get loud and throw his hands up in the air.
Well, my plans for my show is one, I want to eventually build a studio and have a better background, uh, have better equipment, just make it look more professional and be able to bring on even higher tier, actors, musicians, folks like that on. What are you wanting to maybe do something like that in the future yourself, or are you content with the way you have it?
Uh, I'm really, it's funny. Better equipment would be nice.
Right.
Uh, right now, I'm using a camera that I bought on Amazon for, I think it was $125.
Hmm.
It doesn't cost much to do what I'm doing. Memory card, light bulbs that change colors. But part of it, the set the way it is, looks looks like it was like in somebody's basement or it was put together in somebody's garage. I kind of like that feel. I like that
Yeah,
there's charm in the amateur look of my set for
that's
me.
more real.
Well, I don't, I don't know how real it
I I
looks.
th- I think it's more real. I mean, you're not cheapening it with the bells and whistles, is what I'm trying to
Uh,
say.
I have just recently started using green screen more, but I don't want to rely on it, and I don't want to do too much with the green screen because it's not as real. It, you can tell it's green
Yeah.
screen.
Right, right. Well, it would be great to have, all the fancy stuff. I mean, I want it to look different, but I don't want it to be too fancy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think it would cheapen it. I think it would take away from what I'm really trying to do. So, I mean, I'm happy with what I got right now. It's
Well,
better than what I started with.
there's an honesty in when I look at your backdrop and the pictures, there's an honesty there, there's a personality. If you get too far away from that and want to look too professional, it becomes almost like a newsroom where it just doesn't look quite, yeah, it's not as appealing.
I mean, you remember Wayne's World, the
Yes.
movie? And whenever they were doing it in their basement, it was like that was Wayne and Garth. And then when they got sponsored and had to put in the advertisement here and there, and they built the stage and everything, it lost its realness.
Yeah.
You seen that Wayne didn't think it was so cool anymore, and I want to keep that same, in the basement, per se, to keep it real.
uh, I almost set up in the basement for this interview. I was going to set up in front of the set, but there's just not quite enough lighting down there,
Gotcha.
real lighting. So
Gotcha. Are you looking to maybe get some of the stars of one of the movies to be or to come on as a cameo?
uh, I wouldn't discourage it from happening. I haven't yet. The one convention I go to, they bring in people from the older movies. The convention is mostly older movies,
Mhm.
and I've met Beverly Washburn from Spider Baby and several other people at their tables. Uh, I know that Draken Karita from Transylvania Tonight actually filmed a bit with Beverly where she was hosting along with them, which was really cool. And I would like to do something like that. That would be fun.
Well, we might have to try to make that happen. See if I can't hook you up with some of the folks that have been on.
That would be fun. But I do a bit on my show where somebody calls in with the trivia question, and they can do it remotely. You can use your phone to record. I'll have to have you do one.
Oh man,
But
please.
yeah, definitely. So you pick up a phone or you're on your phone. You go, "Hey Doc, I got a trivia question for you," and then I'll cut and I'll be on my phone, and then you ask the trivia question. Then you call back later in the show to get the answer. And it's fun to do, and it's not hard at all.
Man, I would love to be a part of the show sometime.
I'll I'll message it when we're done the interview. I'll let you know.
That sounds cool, man.
Yeah, it's a lot
Okay.
of fun.
Okay. What is the worst movie that you've ever seen?
Remember, all art is subjective, but the worst movie that I've ever seen would probably be a movie called Scroll. Scrawl.
Okay.
About a comic book artist. I believe it was a college film, and it was the story. It just didn't make any sense. At one point, it looked like they just decided to start goofing around in front of the camera. And I think the only reason it ever had a DVD release, which I bought at the Dollar Tree for $1, was because one actress went on to do other things.
Ah,
So,
well, for me, it
but
used to be Howard the Duck, but now
yeah,
stuff coming out nowadays is kind of beating it out.
yeah.
Do you have like an all-time favorite?
Yeah, it would be Bride of the Monster. That's just an Ed Wood film with Bela Lugosi and Tor Johnson. In
Oh
the
yeah.
movie Ed Wood, there's like they do a thing where they're making that movie, and
Yes.
I just love it.
Didn't Johnny Depp play him in
Yeah,
the movie?
Johnny Depp played Ed Wood, and Martin Landau played Bela Lugosi,
Oh wow. Yeah, I forgot that.
and he won. He won. Did he win an Oscar for that performance? He may have won an Oscar for that performance. Uh, George the Animal Steel, famous
Yeah.
wrestler during the '70s. He
Yeah.
played Tor Johnson.
Well, gosh, my favorite is always been Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Good film.
Something about that movie just stands out above all of them. I would say Star Wars, but I thought Raiders was better. I'm probably going to get crucified for that, but
Yeah, that's a good choice. At least you didn't pick something,
bros. No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get canceled for saying that. uh, you know what? What do you think about these actors that come out and basically put down their fans if they don't like the movie?
Oh, you know, I don't know who said it the first time, but I've seen it several times where nobody's paying to hear the star's opinion.
Right.
Nobody wants to know their personal opinions. You know, unless maybe people who buy People magazine and live for that stuff. But dance, monkey, dance. Yeah, get on the stage,
Mm-hmm.
do what the director tells you to do. You did a good job. You pretended to be somebody. Step off the stage. Keep your opinion low key. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think back in the heyday of Hollywood, back in the 40s and 50s and that era, I don't believe the studio probably had them on a pretty tight rope, and
Right.
they weren't really allowed to talk about their personal opinion. Back then, the studio owned the actors. You got to respect that a little bit, though. You never put down your fans,
Heck
you know,
no. What do you
or
think you're going to gain from it?
never put down an audience, a potential audience member.
Right.
You know, uh, you will not have me saying, "Oh, I don't." You know what? If you don't do this, don't watch my show. No,
That's
no.
ridiculous.
Please watch, like, subscribe, give me a comment, even if it's a bad one. One of the funniest comments I had on my, I got a comment on my YouTube on one of the shows I did, and they said, uh, you're okay at criticizing the movie, but get rid of the cat. And he was talking about the puppet. And I had a blast with that comment. I answered him, it was respectfully. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching.
Right.
I hope you watch again. I'm going to use that letter in my viewer mail segment. I hope you don't mind. And I did. I read it on my the next show, and my puppet goes, "Cat? What cat? I don't see a cat. Where's the cat?" And that joke has become like a running gag now. Every now and then we'll just go, "Cat? Is there a cat here?" But never alienate a potential audience. Just don't do it.
Exactly. I got a comment. Guy called me. I'll make it as clean as possible, but a sea sucker. And it would be easy for me to come back and call them names and everything else, but I just ignored it.
Yeah.
If somebody's just being outright cruel, I'm not going to engage. Number one, you're not going to gain anything by it. You're just going to keep a fight going. What's the point? And if somebody doesn't like something that I do, well,
Don't watch me.
well, it's not so much don't watch me. I mean, if you really don't like me, then don't watch me. But if you see something that I can improve on, well, then let me know and I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've already sort of asked people, please tell me what you don't like.
Yeah, I want this to be for my audience. I'm doing this to help people out there. I started because it was something fun for me, and then it got kind of personal because I've gone through a lot of stuff, and I want to see other people know that there's hope out there. And since this is really more for my audience, hey, tell me how I can improve, and I'll do it. But hey, we don't get paid big bucks to do this. I guarantee you, I spend more money doing this than I do making any money.
Yeah.
But I still like the message to get out there. So yeah, tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Little off subject, but you had a personal, like a life coach on,
Mm-hmm.
and you and her interview was awesome. I just loved it.
Thank you.
I've listened to it twice so far, and it was very interesting.
Well, see, I love to hear that. And that those kind of comments coming from people that I don't know, especially from people that I don't know, no offense, but people that I don't know that will come on and say, "Hey, this really helped me," or "I really enjoyed this. I'm glad you brought this guest on." When I'm starting to feel down, and I'm not gonna lie, there's times I think, why am I even doing this? I get a comment like that, and it reminds me, hey, dummy, you're doing this to help others.
Yeah.
It's not for my ego, it's to help somebody. So that really means a lot. I mean, I pay you to tell me all these wonderful things. So put them count. Respect the audience. That's the main thing. I mean, gosh, when I think it was when Obi-Wan Kenobi, before it even came out, they were already putting stuff out there about the audience didn't like it, then they're homophobes or they're xenophobes or whatever the catchphrase is for that week, racist, yada yada yada. Which I'm so sick of hearing those things. They say it so much, it really doesn't have any impact anymore.
Yes.
So, if you're going to call me that anyway, okay, I guess I am.
I think we touched on this last interview too, but I think humanity has more in common, more things that unite us than there are things that separate us.
Right.
And there are no barriers. You throw, religion, race, it doesn't matter. We have more in common. We still go through our daily struggles. We have highs, we have lows. We
Mhm.
love our family, or we love somebody, or we've been hurt. We have all that common ground
Right.
that we can unite on. We don't need to nitpick and about what separates us.
Exactly. We were talking about this subject actually early today, me and my wife. And I said, I can kind of liken this to when my cousin, when this was when I was in high school, he had bought a Mini. I think it was a Mini Austin, if I'm not mistaken, which you didn't see those cars here in the United States back then.
Right.
So people would stare. But now everybody's got a Mini. You see them all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't stop and stare at those cars anymore. It's just kind of blends in and it's just a part of the road now. Uh, I mean, I could tell you 100 examples, but my point is that, let's just say if somebody happens to be gay, okay, back a long time ago, it was a big deal. Now there's so many people that and they're open about it. Let's just say there may have been that many of people that were back then that just weren't open about it.
Right.
Now it's just you're just part of society, you blend in.
Right.
So why are there people trying to make up problems that really don't exist? Okay, yeah, somebody out there might say I hate those minis and I don't want them on the road, but if you're like me, it doesn't bother you.
You got to let that roll off your shoulders.
Exactly. So I don't care. I don't care what you look like, what your lifestyle is, as long as you're not bringing harm to somebody, I don't care.
Right.
So you've got folks that want it to be a problem. They want to be a victim.
Yeah.
I hate getting into this subject, but I mean, my point is we should stop looking for things that to divide us and look for things that bring us together. I mean,
Great.
back in the 50s, when rock and roll was really, getting popular, they used to divide the room between people of color and white people. And then when the concert would get going, a lot of the times they would just take the rope down and everybody would dance together.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. They just were having fun and enjoying the music.
There for the love of the music. Yep.
Thank you. You know what? I go to say a football game. I sit down next to somebody. We're both enjoying the football game. I've never met them in my life, but for those few hours that we're sitting there in the stands together, we're friends.
Mm-hmm.
What? I don't know why we can't just be that way and stop this division. That's my own crazy way of thinking, huh? Well, I I get upset at times, and I'll have a cousin fit when I'm on the road, but really and truly, I care about people. I want to see people succeed in life. Um, I love making friends. I've made so many wonderful friends doing the show. I mean, I met you, and um, I just want this to continue, and just we need to help as many people as we can. So, on that subject, if you were to give advice for people to succeed or to at least chase their dreams, what would you tell someone?
Don't be afraid to take that chance to step outside of your comfort zone. Uh, move in the direction of what your dream is,
Mhm.
and even if it's, baby steps, like the movie What About Bob? Baby steps with Bill Murray. Uh, Even if it's baby steps, take those baby steps, move closer to, and keep reaching for that dream.
Um,
If you would have told me, or if anybody would have told me that, 5 years ago, I'd be doing this and I'd be on an internet, show, and they're crazy. Really, I'm an introvert at heart, but yet with the passion to perform, it's weird. I really can't explain it, but I'm the guy who's content to stand in the corner at a party and not really hold maybe a conversation with one person, more
mhm.
comfortable one-on-one, but crowds freak me out. But I've stepped with the show, I've stepped out of my comfort zone and I've met some really cool people.
Mhm.
A lot of other hosts, podcasters, you. It's
Thank you.
yeah, uh, something that 5 years ago I wouldn't have believed.
I heard that. Uh, you'd have said the same thing to me. Talking to a guy that stuttered for a lot of my life, that was kind of the wallflower, got picked on, and yet I still care about others enough to do this. If you'd have told me that I'd do this on a daily basis, I would think you were nuts.
Yeah,
But thank you for those words, man, and thank you again for coming on the show.
oh, you're welcome.
And once again, if people want to watch you, where do they go?
Uh, if you want to watch me, hop on YouTube, and my YouTube channel is John Dr. Dread Murray, or go on the Monster Channel, www.themonsterchannel.com, on Friday evenings at 11:40, right after Horror Hotel and right before Zombo.
And if they want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
Yeah, I am very active on social media. I have Dr. Dread, DOC Dread, DREAD, and I have a Facebook group that has some really cool people in it. Some of artists and actors and movie makers and podcasters. It's called Dr. Dread's Scary Stuff. I've had so little drama with that group. It's almost at 3,000 people now, but
Awesome.
a lot of good people. And we try to stay on the subject, horror genre, but it covers everything from paranormal to commercial haunted houses and horror movies, horror punk music. It's a fun group.
Well, I'm going to put those links up in the description so people can click on it and go find you.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
But yeah, folks like Doc here, he's doing something that can definitely unite people, and that's what we're all about. We want to bring people together. We want to help people. We want to help you succeed, and stop listening to those folks that want to just divide us. Apparently they're miserable in their own lives, or there's some kind of agenda behind it. So, as I always say, love your neighbor. You never know when you might need them.
Very true.
But to you again, I say thank you. And to you all out there, if you are new to this channel, first off, thank you for stopping by. I hope you will come back despite of what you saw today. And
Or
hit that,
because of it.
or because of it. No, hit that subscribe button. For my regulars, I love y'all so much because you make it possible for me to do this. So until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless, and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network